Hi everyone and welcome to Artist Drinks number 1. I am here with 4stringboy. Welcome to Artist Drinks.
Hi, I'm Sammy, aka 4stringboy, and I'm a ukulele instrumentalist.
What are we drinking today?
Today we're drinking some Tuborg Null, which is basically Tuborg without any alcohol. Alcohol gives me migraines, so I have to avoid it, but beer is still quite nice to drink, so that's my drink of choice.
I drink a lot of beer. Skull!
Skull.
Actually, that's nicer than beer for me.
I
did drink that, I think.
Good, I prefer it to be a beer too.
Let's dive right in. Just a bit. Okay, let's start basic. Where are you from and where do you live?
Originally, I'm from a place in the West Midlands called Dudley.
Of England.
Of England, yes. And now I live in Copenhagen, Denmark.
And how would you describe your distinct sound?
Moody, atmospheric kind of stuff maybe you'd have on in the background. But
at like a dinner party?
Yeah, some of them might be a bit intense. It's sort of, some of them are quite tension building just in the musicality of it. If it's live, it's just ukulele, but I'm recording an album, so it's got like some backing sounds.
Okay, so could you sum up your sound in like a couple of words?
Moody, sparkly, ambience.
And what's your story? How did you get to where you are? Where did you start?
So when I was about 13, I discovered MTV2, and that at that time in my life they were like pushing out Nirvana, The Strokes, Foo Fighters, sort of all guitar rock based stuff. And I mean, I don't come from a musical family, but saying that, I did play the ocarina at school, so that is pretty sick. I wanted a guitar. I've never played a guitar, so I asked for a guitar for Christmas. Luckily, I have a birthday Christmas combo thing that I can always cash in on. So I got a guitar and an amp for Christmas and birthday, which is good. Then I had guitar lessons. 6 months later, I ended up classically forming a band, but they needed a bass player, so that was the next Christmas.
The classic switching from guitar to bass because someone needs a bass player.
That's really enjoyed the whole thing. Gigged as like shitty punk original stuff. We were called Sarcastic Comment. That is the most teen angst name, I think. But so I went to college to do music BTEC. I then moved to BIM in Brighton Institute of Modern Music.
That's where we met.
Yeah, that's where I met you. End goal was to be a music teacher, because at college I had some really fantastic teachers. They were literally the best. It was so nice after being to school and just people talking down to you. It was a new experience of people talking to you on their level, and they were like fantastic musicians, but never treated you like a I'm king and on a pedestal thing. And oh man, did like I appreciate it, and sort of that resonated. So I loved all of that and sort of wanted to do that for other people. Got my teaching degree and then sort of fell into a job, luckily lecturing at Northwood College, Brighton University. And specialised in music theory and gig prep, so prepping bands to go play live.
What made you decide to go original? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they see bands they love, they're like, oh, I want to do that, I want to be an originals band, and then maybe they end up as a session player or a teacher, and it's something more kind of, I don't want to say realistic, because being an originals artist is super realistic, but obviously some people do veer away from that, and you've gone the other way.
Because I've never set out to be an originals artist. I've never wanted to be an original artist. I actually always wanted to be a session player and a teacher. And so I played in lots of function bands and stuff like that, so kind of did the session playing route, would go into studios whenever I was needed to, etc. I think it goes back to being a teenager locked in my room with a guitar. I had like this little Zoom multi-recording box, and this was back when technology was shit and you didn't have GarageBand or things like that. And I used to record, you could record things and then play it back, and so I'd always spend time like scrolling out tabs and writing my own stuff, that was obviously very shit. But it was, I think it comes out from that. So I've always liked composition, and I've always appreciated like just ripping apart music. Because of teaching music, I so often have to like deconstruct it and show people this is how they're getting this sound, this is why they do this. And I love that from like a weird puzzle aspect. I think I do a a thing, as you know, every Thursday called Fingerstar Thursday, where I write my own tiny little composition for people to learn, and then I teach them the theory and how they play it on the ukulele. But then that has led up to me making bigger pieces of music and me being like, what the fuck do I do with these bigger pieces of music? They're too big to teach and stuff, and it's like, but I really enjoy and like them. So the only thing that was left was to perform them. Oh shit, yeah, no, I am an original artist now because it's just accidentally happened that way. But yeah, I never intended to go that route ever.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's such a weird way. Well, I guess it's not weird. It's your unique path, but like it's an interesting way around, and that you've kind of come full circle, and all these things have materialized without necessarily you consciously trying.
Yeah.
It's all just like you've trusted the path and gone with it, and it's worked out that way. No, not forced.
Yeah. I've never tried to force things to happen. It's just you go along with it, whether it's that luck factor, it takes you where you go, you know what I mean? But sort of doing what you love doing, but also not ignoring the opportunities or the negative things that happen in your life and sort of reflecting back at them and seeing where you go with it.
Yeah, and not getting bogged down in what you think is like realistic, or well, this can't realistically happen, I can't realistically compose, but actually you've ended up there in a really unique way where if someone had said, oh, why don't you become a teacher and do these things every week, and then it will end up with you being an original artist, people would be like, that's crazy. But obviously it has happened for you, and that's why I think everyone's individual story is so interesting and actually helpful to others. So thanks for sharing.
Pleasure.
What are your values that come across in your brand and your social media?
Across all of those platforms, the ukulele community is very welcoming and warm. It's a really, really, really nice slice of the internet. So I'm always like ridiculously happy to be there. And I think if it hadn't have been so nice, maybe it would have pushed me over the edge and I wouldn't have continued like I've done. But so kindness and I think self-belief, the fact that, and again, the thing I love about the ukulele community is that you can have players who can strum one chord, or you can have players who can, like, you have virtuosos, and there is no sort of, again, pedestal kind of system.
Yeah, there's not much hierarchy in that community,
No.
so that's really, really nice to see.
It's
and everyone
beautiful.
also helps each other up, like, no matter how many followers each person has, they're still, if they see someone who has potential, they'll still like up, which I think has been actually instrumental to you.
I agree.
And it's rare to see, I feel.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry. Luckily I can edit that out.
Oh my god. The fact that basically everyone is sort of equal is the best. So kindness, self-belief. Basically, it doesn't matter if you've not touched an instrument in 60 years, whatever. You can pick one up and you can be great as long as you put in the hard work and you enjoy it.
Yay. So your brand is obviously more veered towards the music, and I would say the communication actually is a big part of your brand. But what visuals inspire you?
Copenhagen's full of like really, really cool architecture and lots of like lines. You know what I mean? Yeah. Lots of like geometrical things like harsh lines and lighting. And those two things like have, I think, influenced me the most since being here. So seeing the big modern sort of shapes, I'm going to call it shapes because I can't just say buildings, but it's just shapes. And then like how they cleverly use lighting in different places. Those two things I think I now care about way more.
So in Denmark, obviously when you move into an apartment, because I don't think everyone would know this, you don't have a light.
No lights.
There's no like big lights.
No.
That's because I think all of Scandinavia, lighting is really important.
Because it's so dark, because it gets so dark.
Yeah, but they want to choose their lamps or their big lights or their fairy lights and actually create it so much of the ambiance or the interior, the style is defined, I guess, by the lighting.
Yeah,
and that's why we don't have lights when we move in.
I've always liked sci-fi because I'm a little bit of a nerd like that. So, I'm confident in Star Wars, etc. But so it's very much in sort of sci-fi futuristic thing. You do have these like modern, clean sort of aesthetics. So actually, I think I've always liked that because of sci-fi. And then coming over here, it's almost blended Denmark injects like a bit of softness into it as well. It doesn't have to be like sort of so cold and harsh, almost like a futuristic prison would be. You know what I mean? There's a sense of softness like that.
Yeah, I think contrasts are always like, I feel like any good visual always has a contrast for me, and contrast is where it's at in terms of like outfits or anything, like the harsh lines with the warm, soft lighting.
Totally.
That's the blend there.
Yeah.
So the last one of the 5 main brand pillars, communication. So how would you describe your communication style in general on socials within your brand?
Okay, so the way I talk on social media is like an amplified version of myself. I try to be very kind and very patient with people all the time, and I always believe like that I'm a hugger. you know, that's the best way I can say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like friendliness and I like kindness, and that's just a trait that I enjoy in people, and I like that. So it's almost on Instagram, I do that but louder. I call it abrasive kindness. So I'll shout at people in capitals, love you, you know what I mean, to random people, or I'm just going to comment.
You're very strong at like writing how you talk as
Thank
well.
you.
Like literally it's like you've just word vomed onto the page and it's all come out.
Word bomb.
Yeah. Oh, well, that you can tell that's you from a mile away.
I think I have the confidence to act like an idiot, like I am naturally.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like when I write text I have to come across as clever, or I have to come across as like important or smart or anything. I am very at home with being a fucking idiot, and so I own that in the way that I talk also.
And I think that's the key, is like having the confidence to actually be your authentic self, and I feel like in this day and age we're all trying to be the most authentic that we can, rightly so.
Yeah.
And that's why I champion authentic branding, because it works when you're just actually at peace with how you are, even if it's not the best or the most this or the most that. That's where the magic is. That's where people have confidence in you, because you have confidence in your own authentic self.
Totally, yeah.
And that really comes across. I'd say that communication is one of your strongest brand pillars.
Well, thank you.
Do you use emojis?
I do. I use lots of emojis. For hearts, I always use an orange heart, and that's because one of my brand colours, we used to be black and white, but then an orange and a green, so I always made sure that the heart was reflective of that colour, thanks to some training by some wonderful person I know.
What are your goals for the future? What is your ultimate goal for the future?
Ultimate goal for the future. Now I'm writing an album for the originals, so I want to get that finished. I want to go out and be able to perform that album around. That would be excellent. Maybe some compositional work for like film or TV or video games.
What would be your ideal composition project?
It's a video game series called The Last of Us. It's a PlayStation game. And the whole soundtrack is written by one guy. It's all written in his style. He was hired because it was his style. And he did the entire video game in that. And so the whole, like, everything ties in and feels as one, because he's done all of it. You know what I mean? Not just I'll take this song from this artist, this song from this artist, this song.
It's like been allowed to develop and grow with the game.
He's been able to absolutely mould everything to it. So something like that would be incredible. This is this, do everything in your style.
So summarise your ultimate goal, if you had to pick one.
Ultimate goal, live player with some compositionals shit on the side. Comp shit.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to comp shit.
Oh.